I'm James Lynch. This is my stock report for UFC Vegas 85, where we look at the biggest winners and losers of the event. And let's get right into it. And I think at the top of the list, one of the big winners, one of the fighters whose stock rose immensely tonight was Nassourdine Imavov. Really great performance here over Roman Dolidze. Nearly finished Dolidze in the first round. He was the betting favorite going in, but he looked more like a 2-1, 3-1 favorite in this fight. He looked outstanding. Really good performance. Some weird couple fights for Imavov, right? If we go back a little bit, I talked about this in the preview show, going all the way back to the Sean Strickland fight, which was on short notice, up a weight class. Strickland ended up winning. Everyone was writing Imavov off, and then he had that really weird no contest at UFC 289 last June. So this was a good opportunity here fighting Dolidze in the main event, and I honestly thought he looked great tonight. Everything was on point. The speed was on point. The striking was on point. Ground game looked good. Everything looked good here tonight with Imavov. This was the type of performance that puts him in that conversation of guys that I think are going to start making some noise in this division. And, you know, we've seen Imavov lose before. We've seen him, suffer some setbacks. But I thought this was a very complete performance. And Dolidze really didn't have a lot to offer in this fight. And, I think pretty much every round Imavov looked good. He was in control. And I think we're going to start talking about him getting some bigger fights. Again, this was a main event against a really good guy here in Dolidze. In terms of you look at who Dolidze's fought in his career, I think you're going to see that big step up next for Imavov. Just looking at the rankings right now, I think we can kind of look at maybe a matchup. I'm just seeing who's available right now, just off the top of my head. Maybe like the winner, well, probably the loser of Vettori and Brendan Allen, I think makes a lot of sense. But we've got Imavov at 11, technically fought Dolidze, who's 8, so he should be right there. Or you could even do the loser of Whitaker Costa. Either way, Imavov set himself up very well. And you look at the age there as well, just 27 years old. He is a guy that I think people kind of forgot about in this weight class, just because of, like I said, everything that's happened. And again, that Chris Curtis fight was way back in June of last year. Who was he supposed to fight? Ikram last year, right? And then that fight got canceled because he had to pull out of that. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he goes from here. But yeah, Imavov to me was the biggest winner on this card. Now, some other winners, some people we have to talk about in terms of their stock rising. I thought Molly McCann looked great. Now look, Molly McCann, if we're talking about the optics of this fight with Diana Belbita, Diana Belbita is someone that's sort of been holding on to her job, especially after the last performance against Karolina Kowalkiewicz. And she was talking about retirement. McCann was a big favorite going in, but the fact she went in there, made the weight, looked good at strawweight, I think that's a key thing here, and went in there and got a finish over someone she's already fought. Very impressive first round finish over Diana Belbita. Look, I know she's supposed to win, but as far as McCann's stock, it's great right now because she's in a new weight class. She made the weight no problem, and she gets a quick win here. That's what you have to do. It's one thing to fight lower level opposition, but it's another thing to go in there and actually finish it quickly. So I think Molly McCann's stock definitely went up here tonight. Excited to see what she does in the strawweight division going forward. Again, a lot of people writing her off too, but I'm interested now. I do think this is a better weight class for her. You look at the height and reach there, 5'4" with the 62-inch reach. That's not very big for flyweight. So glad to see her get a big win here in the strawweight division. Now, my other winner on this card, there's a whole bunch. You could look at, Randy Brown, nice finish there. Natalia Silva taking care of business in the flyweight division. Charles Johnson potentially saving his job here. I think that was the last fight on his deal, if I'm not mistaken. Themba Garimbo looked great. I'm going to go Renato Moicano. Now, not because he won. I honestly didn't think the fight was that great, if we're being honest here. The post-fight interview with Renato Moicano, that makes his stock go up. This guy is putting on one of the best post-fight interviews that we're seeing right now in MMA, from him talking about wanting to be a cop and getting rid of the bad guys. And again, we don't get too political on these shows, but I think there was a good message there. Hey, we got to start policing people. I thought that was great. But the biggest thing, and you know where I'm going with this, calling out MMA Guru. Listen, great move here on Moicano's part. He's trying to build up his YouTube channel. It's good for Guru to get that extra, publicity as well. He's probably loving this. He's obviously got a lot of people watching his stream tonight for this card. So I thought Moicano really stole the show from this card as well. Because, I kind of look at the stock report as like, things that are really notable. And to me, this post-fight speech from Moicano, very notable, probably made people forget about the fight itself. Because again, I don't think if you're watching that, you thought it was maybe like, the most entertaining fight ever. A lot of grappling, a lot of takedowns in that fight, but good for Moicano. Good win from there. And again, I saw a lot of people saying Moicano was going to get knocked out in this fight. That did not happen. He holds up. Drew Dober, we know, can knock you out at any moment. So that was a really good win there for Moicano. So those are some of my big winners from this card. Now let's get to the stock droppers here. I think the obvious one here is Azat Maxim, Charles Johnson's opponent. He was undefeated going into tonight's fight. He was a betting favorite. He comes up short. I think he put on a close fight. It's not like Johnson completely shut him out, but this is a fight that was sort of tailor-made for him to win. Johnson's on the last fight on his UFC contract. Maxim, again, someone that you can tell, 29 years old, they're trying to build up a little bit from Kazakhstan, try and make, some noise here in the flyweight division, try and break through here, and he loses to Charles Johnson in his second UFC fight. I think this is a winnable fight for him. He wasn't able to get it done. Maxim, to me, is someone whose stock I think dropped the most on this card, just because he was someone that was undefeated and expected to win, one of the few favorites that ended up losing. The other loser, I mean, we have to talk about it a little bit here. I don't want to use the word loser because it sounds like I'm actually calling them a loser. I'm not that, but one of the other fighters whose stock definitely dropped is Roman Dolidze. I didn't want to put this in the thumbnail image. I think it's kind of obvious. I mean, what a missed opportunity here. I talked about the Marvin Vettori fight. I thought that was close. I think there was an argument to be made that Dolidze won that fight. To go from that to this performance where I don't think he won a single round, he was just very much like just a step behind. Looked slow out there, took a lot of damage. Credit to him for surviving. I mean, this fight definitely could have been ended in the first round if maybe it's a different referee than Herb Dean, but I thought, from my opinion, Dolidze, another missed opportunity. And guess what? It's only going to get, tougher with the fact that he's 35 years of age. Like, I think the days of Dolidze as a contender after this loss is pretty much done. We'll see what the UFC does with him, but you know what they typically do when you get an older fighter who's, on a bit of a losing streak, they tend to give the up-and-comers to him. So don't be surprised if you're seeing, maybe like a Bo Nickel in the future fight him. You know what I mean? Like, that's the type of fight I think the UFC is thinking of down the line, to use a veteran and build someone else up. That's probably where Dolidze's at right now, because I just think with this type of performance, like, it wasn't competitive. Like, I didn't feel like Imavov was going to get, finished or anything in this fight. I felt like Imavov was in control of this entire fight, and Imavov's a lower ranked middleweight in terms of the overall rankings. So the fact that Dolidze wasn't able to get it done, didn't make it competitive, I think speaks volumes to where he's at in his career. And look, all the power to him. I think Dolidze's great. I've been a big fan of his for a while, but going forward, again, I think they're just going to use prospects to sort of build up on him. The other, stock dropper and someone who I think this might be it for, to be honest, is Diana Belbita. I mean, again, she was a big underdog going into this fight, but to lose in the first round like that, never a good look. Especially after coming off a dominant loss to Kovacevic. Prior to that, she's now lost, 3 of her last 4. Again, she was talking about retirement before this. I think this is probably the end of the road. I mean, she's 27, but my point is her UFC record is not great. She's 2-5, if my math's correct here. Yeah, so, and that's not going to get it done. Hannah Goldie, I don't even think is in the UFC anymore. Oliveira, I'm not sure if she is either. I mean, if she wants to continue this career, it's got to be, she's going to have to go to Invicta or something and work her way back up. But I would not be surprised at all if the UFC decides to cut Diana Belbita, or if she just says, that's it, I'm done, I'll go do something else. But she's obviously one of the big stock droppers on this card. Not that she had a ton of stock going in. Again, she's coming off a loss. And like I said, if you look at the odds here, right, like what were they? McCann was like, she's plus 215. She wasn't supposed to win. So typically I don't like picking losers here. And then just one last one as well. This fight ending in an eye poke, the Kritsev and Muradov. This was a big win, or a big opportunity here for the Russian. It's too bad it ended in an eye poke, but again, this was a fight that, I mean, we'll see if they end up rebooking that, kind of what they did with Ankalaev and Johnny Walker. But Kritsev is a guy that obviously they're looking to build up in the weight class, 14-0. Again, a bit of it's an accident. These things happen, but maybe a missed opportunity for him here tonight, getting it done as well. So those are my, like I said, my stock risers, my stock droppers for UFC Vegas 85. So I want to hear from you guys in the comments. Do you agree, disagree with some of the choices I picked here today? Is there anything I missed here that maybe you wanted to add? Would love to hear from you in the comments. Let's have a fun discussion about this card. My name is James Lynch. I appreciate you watching, and make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button before you get out of here. Would really appreciate it. Take care, and I'll see you for the next card for another edition of the Stock Report.